Right, what's happening, people, and welcome back to the Joey Knight podcast. Now, the dust has settled. It's been a couple of days. We had a very bitter taste in our mouth after the West Ham game, but I am a bit of an eternal optimist when it comes to Chelsea, and I think on Friday night at the Bridge against Luton, we're going to see a positive performance. I myself will be at the game, and fan favourite of this channel who joins me today, Josh Aveste, will also be at the game. If you haven't already, and I know a lot of you long-term viewers have, but if you're new to the channel and you like the content that I produce with Josh, please do me a massive favour. Head over to his channel. The link is in the description below. He's dropping content every week on Chelsea and different Premier League topics. So head over there, drop him a subscribe. And if you're not already, I had a look at the analytics page the other day. Around 15% of the people that watch my videos are subscribed, which means, what, 85%?
Quick maths, mate.
I had to, I had to look at you. That tells that I think you're the more intelligent one out of us two. But yeah, a lot of you aren't subscribed. So please do me a massive favour. It helps me grow the channel. It helps me bring you more videos, bigger videos, and also match day vlogs and live streams are something we do want to get into. So as the subscribers go up, we will definitely get that in the diary. Josh, looking forward to this Luton game?
I can't wait. I can't wait to go, first of all, because obviously it's been a long 3 months, hasn't it? I always hate the summers without football. Like, I'm just buzzing to be back at the Bridge. I wasn't able to go to the Liverpool game because we were recording for the kickoff, which you were amazing on. Can we just shout out everyone how good Joey was on the kickoff? And if you are watching the kickoff, you need to, because Joey's going to be on there very often. So make sure you subscribe to that channel. I know we're saying subscribe to a million channels, but come on, it's so good. But yeah, let's go back onto Luton. So I'm really excited for that game. I'm so buzzing to be back at the Bridge. And ultimately, Luton should be one of those teams, mate, that we're beating, isn't it?
Well, I said that Sunday was a must-win game.
Yeah.
And a couple of people laughed at me, didn't they? Must-win, it's your second game of the season. Well, if Sunday weren't a must-win game, Friday is definitely a must-win game, because if we are to go on to do what I genuinely still believe we can do, which is secure Champions League football in time for next season, this is a must-win game. It is a game we need to get the 3 points out of. Luton have a very much a feel-good factor around the club. They have done historic things that may be underplayed. When we've seen the likes of Leicester go and win a Premier League title and different things we've seen in our lifetime, I think we probably underplay the achievement that Luton have done over the last decade or so. I know for a fact that you were actually at the playoff final.
Yeah, I was really lucky to be there. Like, playoffs are always really fun, aren't they? And I've got a few friends. I grew up in Hertfordshire. I have a few friends that are Luton fans. I was lucky enough to go with one of my best mates and his dad, who has been a lifelong Luton fan. And the feel-good factor around that club was just infectious. And actually, when they won that game, you couldn't help but actually feel a little bit emotional, to be fair, because of the journey they've been on. As you say, 10 years ago, they were playing in the conference, which is absolutely just insane.
Crazy.
Right, for the growth they've done. And we have to shout out one player in particular. They've got a player called Mpanzu who plays in the midfield for them. He has joined that journey from the conference. So he started 10 years ago, 2013, playing for them. He's gone through every single league. They've had successive promotions, right? They've gone from League One straight to the Championship. Now they're in the Premier League, and he's playing in the Premier League. He started the first game.
Of Mpanzu saying that when he first joined, they were training in a local park, not corded off, anyone could walk over, probably dog walkers walking over the pitch, managers having to pick up dog shit. It's literally like, it's crazy the journey they've been on. But would it be short-sighted for me to think that maybe all Luton have got going for them in the Premier League this season is that feel-good factor?
I think it is a little bit harsh. Like, when I watched them in the playoff final and, some of the stuff they've done in the Championship, they are a very able team. And again, you always love teams that come up in the playoffs because they're a little bit of an X factor. You never quite know what's going to happen with them. They haven't necessarily ripped up the team either. There are a lot of players that were playing in the Championship that are still going to be playing for them, and we'll get onto the team sheet in a second and how they line up. But they have a very clear way of playing. It's old school. They play with a back three. They have wing backs, 3 in midfield, 2 up front, and it's 2 proper strikers. There's none of this sort of like, false nine rubbish. It's 2 blood and guts strikers. And what they do, mate, is they get the ball in defence, they lump it up to a big man, they keep the ball, and then they try and, play off that. And they're very, very good at it. The verticality is something that we've got to be very worried about. And the strength that they have is something that we've got to be a bit scared about, because we have the slightly younger players. They might get a little bit bossed, and that's going to be an area that they're going to be really strong with. So yes, they're gettable. They are one of the weakest teams, if not the weakest team on paper in the league. And that's no disrespect to them. That's just where they are as a football club. But they have heart, and they have the ability with the tactical setup that they have to win games. So it isn't going to be a walkover, but I feel that we have enough technical ability, I hope, to win the game.
I think they'll also very much fancy their chances against us.
Yeah.
You know, they'll have looked at our performances last season. They'll maybe perceive us to have gone into this season still holding some of that baggage from last season. And obviously, look, the proof's in the pudding. You look at that West Ham performance and Luton, I won't say we'll be licking their lips, but they'll be looking at that game thinking, right, we could get at them here. I think that this is a massively important game, not only for us to win, and people are saying you're getting ahead of yourself, for us to win by a couple of goals and show that the talent in our squad is able to take instructions and learning on board so quickly that in this match, where we inevitably at times come up against that low block and against the team that are going to get players behind the ball, show that we can break them down. And just because that maybe we could potentially go and do it against Luton, it doesn't mean as we up the level, we might be able to do it against other teams. But I do think as we up the level against other teams, we're going to come in to games where other teams are trying to attack us and leave more space for us to exploit. So I want to get into your team against Luton. Now, I know that we're early on and we might hear more news of, you know, knowing our club, potentially incomings, outgoings and maybe injuries in training, touch wood not. But early doors, we're recording this on Monday morning, your team to face Luton. The first thing I want to ask you is, are you sticking with the three at the back?
No. That's
music
simple.
to my ears.
Yeah. I don't think you would either, mate, to be fair, would you?
I wouldn't, no.
So when I'm looking at it and I'm looking at the squad that we have right now, Carney's injured and Kunku's injured. No number 10s. Gallagher? Not sure. So I'm going to go with a 4-3-3. And I know we said this last week, but I think that is our best formation. So that's how I'm going to set up the team, mate.
Let's start it off. Go from the goalkeeper.
So Sanchez is the obvious goalkeeper. I'm going to go Gusto right back. He plays decently enough against West Ham, and I thought he's played very well during pre-season. So I think he's earned that space. Now, the only thing that I might consider, mate, is playing Disassi there because it adds the defensive solidity. But I don't feel that we need as much defensive solidity against Luton. So for me, I'm going more in an attacking sense, and I feel that we're going to have enough engine in the midfield to allow Gusto to start. So I'm going to go Gusto. Alongside him, I'm going to go for the experience and the sort of nous of Thiago Silva, and then Colwell alongside him.
I was hoping that was... for me, it's like, I get that Disassi's been in the team and, you know, but for me, that is my core going forward. Even once we get players returning from injuries in the likes of Fofana in a long time and Badia Shil in not too long, for the second, for me, my core of a centre-back two has got to be Thiago Silva and Levi Colwell, who I've been massively impressed by so far. On to your left-back.
Chilwell starts for me at left-back. I think he's done more than enough to say that he is our starting left-back. And let's just move him out of left wing. Like, he isn't a left winger. Let's just get him bombing on from that position that he's very capable at doing. And let's not underestimate his ability as a tackler and a destroyer in that role. So I think he's more than good enough. He is our number one left back. Let's not complicate it. I don't think Maatsen has as much strength as I need against a team like Luton to come in there. Cucurella could be leaving the club by the time this game even starts. We're crossing our fingers that happens.
Yeah, we offered him to Brian, True Geordie, the other night, and he didn't really bite on that one, did he?
No, he doesn't want to go.
We've got to find more suitors for him.
Yeah. He doesn't want to go there at all. Yeah, True Geordie doesn't want him. So yeah, I wouldn't start anyone else other than Chilwell. I would go Caicedo at the base of the midfield. I'd go Enzo, and then I'd start Lavia. Chuck him straight in.
I think that's a good idea.
Do you? Because I thought you were going to disagree.
No, I think, and look, I will release my team later on towards it. I think it's probably the right idea. You could say the thing of, you know, well, are you going to rush these players in when maybe Lavia hasn't played too many minutes, didn't play in the Championship this season, and Caicedo obviously coming back now. I do think that you 100% chuck Caicedo straight in there now. People say to me about his performance, but okay, what's the alternative? Yeah. We're not playing now then. You know, and there is actually, it will always be overrided by the things he did negatively, but there actually was positives to come from that Caicedo performance. Yeah. It just, you know, going to be very hard to see it when he made the mistakes that he did. I would chuck him straight in there. Lavia, I think, is one that because of how Caicedo played in his first match, the pressure's off him a little bit and he can come in, and I think he could be massively important for us. So I think that I would put Lavia in the starting lineup. Whether Pochettino goes with that or not, I'm not too sure.
And the only other thing I was thinking now is, like, could you force the 4-2-3-1 and could you play Gallagher as the number 10 instead of Lavia? That, for me, might be the route that Poch goes. But for me, I would have the defensive solidity. And ultimately, like, the midfield area in the last 2 games has been the area that we've really lost out on. I think that's the reason why we've drawn the first game and lost the second game, because we didn't have that sort of like, I don't know, grit and determination in the middle of midfield. And when you've got those 3 playing together, you know that they're going to be able to cover the defensive areas. That means that the wing-backs can bomb on. And then we look as a team a lot more sort of cohesive. And again, with all of these players, you're playing them in their natural positions, which is something that we haven't really been doing in the first 2 games.
Your front line?
So, start with the easy one. Jackson. He's got to start as the number 9. I think he has been quality. And I think in this game against Luton, he could score a couple of goals. Yeah. I think he has that ability. So I'd go Jackson through the middle. Sterling has to play as well, and I'm putting him on the left. He started against West Ham on the right, didn't he? So I think with this one, I want to see him inverting, and I want to see him slightly closer to Jackson, bearing in mind you've got Chilwell bombing on the left-hand side, and Mudryk isn't as good at playing that sort of like inverted winger role, where Sterling is sort of like naturally good at that.
Can I give you one slight negative to putting Sterling on the left? And I know that we've seen Sterling most of the time on the left. It's a lot of people would say it's his better position. The only negative I would say, and this is just assuming that Enzo is more on the right-hand side of the pitch, is I think their link-up play is very, very good. We saw it with the ball that Enzo put through, cut straight through the back line to Sterling when he made the run. And I just think that in terms of players on that pitch that are on the exact same wavelength for Sterling, it's Reece when he's fit, it's Enzo when he's there, and there's not all that much depth when it comes to players that are just for the here and now on that same wavelength as him. But that's just my opinion. You're putting Sterling on the left.
Yeah, and I just think like when you look at other options then on the right,
I know who you're putting.
But there are a few good options on the right. So for me, the left is the weaker area.
Yeah.
And I want my instruction to Chilwell would be get as far forward as you can, let Caicedo drop into the defence and he can cover up back there. And so you can bomb on. Sterling can invert. And actually Sterling is better in the penalty area, doing those sort of like one-touch passes, doing those quick feet, like, and then going in and making a shot. He can cut in and score from the right-hand side. So I actually think that works, right? Who am I putting at right wing then?
I think you're about to make a lot of subscribers to this channel going on my comment section very happy. You're starting Noni Madueke, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah.
And look, he has to play. Like, he came on yesterday. I don't think he had like the most amazing start, but again, like, he's been out for a long time. He hasn't really been playing in pre-season, so it's been quite difficult, hasn't it?
And let's not forget, had a brilliant tournament for England.
So yeah, he's played very, very well. Slot him in here, let him take on the defence, let him whip balls in. Like, he is very, very good at that. Sterling is also good, but Noni isn't as good on the left. Mudryk isn't as good as either of them at the moment in terms of a confidence player. He can also come on and make an impact with his pace and his ability to come on from the bench. So I would go Noni, and I think he's unlocking a very good starting 11.
Before I get on to scoreline predictions for this match from you, there's 2 players there that haven't made it into your lineup. Yeah. One of them's featured a bit. One of them we haven't seen at all. I'll start with the one we haven't seen at all, Andre Santos.
Yeah.
He was brought in and, you know, again, we looked at him in, was it the Under-20 World Cup where he was playing really well? Obviously, Cassidy, who scored on his debut for Leicester. What did I tell you about Cassidy at Leicester? He's going to absolutely have it off there. He's going to be a first-team starter. I'm really looking forward to seeing how he continues to do with Leicester. But he scored the winner on his debut. Andre Santos was another one of those young players that I thought we're going to see given minutes to here. If we don't, we might see him go out on loan to an English side and see him sort of level up there and progress. Andre Santos isn't even getting a look in at the moment. He didn't have a knock and he didn't make the bench the other day. Is that a concern for you with Andre Santos?
It's a real concern. So I don't know what has happened there. Like, I almost hope that he has had a knock. Because to not be on the bench, and like Ugo Chukwu come in and he's on the bench, and so you're thinking, is Poch favouring him? Is he more of a player that he fancies? But then he doesn't even come on and, you know, like in either game.
I had only seen him, small glimpses, YouTube and things like that, and then a little bit of him in that Under-20 World Cup. And I was looking at Andre Santos and thinking, oh, you could be good for us. You could be a bit of a powerhouse in that midfield. So it's not to say he won't, but a little bit of a slight concern, but you know, maybe as the season goes on, a player that we've had a little bit of mixed opinions on just from the last week or so, Mykhailo Mudryk. When I was watching him in pre-season, I was thinking, do you know what, you're going to be some player, you are, and you've now got the confidence that this season you can go on bigger and better things and actually take games by the scruff of the neck. And it's pretty concerning, because whether I want to go into the fact we spent nearly 90 million on him or not, it is relevant to a lot of people. I personally think the player doesn't put the price on his head. You know, there was a bidding war with Arsenal going on and whatnot. We acted maybe a little bit scattergun. We spent the money on him. It's not his fault. But regardless of that, as a player coming into a Chelsea team, coming in as someone that, you know, we're going to think should be sort of in and around that first team, to see that Pochettino hasn't picked him for either starting lineup so far is a little bit concerning. And I would also very much agree with your take on it that I don't think he's going to get picked for this starting lineup. So do Chelsea fans need to be concerned there?
So I'm going to say a funny name for you now, and you're going to think, how the hell are these two connected? Jack Grealish. Pep, when he signs Jack Grealish, he doesn't start him that often, and people are going, £100 million. That's a bit of a weird one. Pep doesn't fancy him. Is he ever going to play for Man City? He ends up playing quite often, doing incredibly well. The difference is that Pep gets 9-10 months with him, is able to sort of impart his tactical philosophy, improve him as a player, make him better, and then he comes into the team. Mudryk is younger, less experienced, and etc., etc. You can go on, but we're expecting him to make the impact straight away in a team that is way more dysfunctional than a Man City team ever would be. So I think it's really harsh, the amount of criticism that this guy gets. He's working his arse off. Like, you see him training outside of the training ground. You see him in gyms. You know, there's so much footage. Like, it seems like he's at a different gym every week, bless him. So he's obviously he obviously cares. And I think Poch will get an arm around him and improve him. But I don't think it's a bad thing to sort of say he might not be ready right now. And Poch is sort of intentionally not exposing him too early, because he believes that he can be a difference maker later on down the line. So with Mudryk, I always think he's very, very good as an impact sub, and he can come on and change games with his pace. And think about it, Luton, back three, he can get around the back of them with his pace, long balls, and they will stretch as the game goes. They're going to play a low block, let's be honest, but the game will stretch. And so he can come on, get in behind and score goals or get assists. So I don't think there's anything to be worried about. And how do you feel about this one?
Oh, it's a bit of a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen more from him so far. We spoke about this with Brian on the kickoff the other night, in terms of some players fill you with optimism because they show glimpses of brilliance. But when all is said and done, I know plenty of players who have now left the game and retired, who, when you look back at their career, you go, show glimpses of brilliance, didn't they? But never fully fulfilled that and went on to the top level. And that's my one concern. However, saying that, because of the price tag we put on his head and because of the newsworthy headlines he had, that the fact that we beat Arsenal to his signature when he came in, I think that a lot of people want you to hit the ground running. But all you've got to do, if you don't already know this, look him up on the internet and it will tell you there that the man's 21 years old?
Yeah.
And because of that, he isn't necessarily a player for the here and now. The price tag would suggest he is, but when you look at when players come into their prime, when they come into their peak, and when they're ready to be a first team starter and a player that you can rely on, normally that will happen 2 to 3 years from now. So if that is the case with Mudryk, and, you know, it's a thing of Pochettino getting his arm around him, grafting with him, working with him, and giving him a lot more tactical awareness, which I do feel that he has lacked, in my opinion. If that's the case and we have to sit tight and wait even until next season for it, I'll be okay with it, because I think our backup options there are fine. But that being said, I'd like to see him do something. Listen, if he starts in this match and scores, I am going to be absolutely buzzing. So, no, we've gone a little bit off topic there, but let's have a score prediction from you for this match, Josh.
I think last week maybe we were a little bit too optimistic.
So we're going 5-0. No, go on.
And we are famously quite optimistic, aren't we? And people like that. So,
yeah,
you know, I am an optimist, but I think what I'm going to do is be a bit more of a realist in this game, and I'm going to go 2-1. I think with their physicality up top, and I've seen their strikers, they're big lads, I feel they might nick a goal from like a corner or something like that.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Go on.
3-1.
Who's scoring?
Jackson, definitely getting on the goal sheet. One interesting thing to cap it off, if we get a penalty in this match, who takes it? Not who you think Pochettino will have taken it. Who do you want to see step up and put that ball in the back of the net?
It should be the number 9 on the pitch. He wears number 15, Jackson. Like, I want him to get a goal. I want him to prove everyone wrong with the fact of, like, they're going, is he good enough? Is he able to take that mantle of a Chelsea number 9? I want him to be up there. So for me, it would be Jackson. I think he slots it.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I'd go Jackson as well, but I wouldn't moan if it was Ben Chilwell. People, we want to know your thoughts. We want to know how you think Chelsea approach this match. We want to know what chance you give Chelsea of getting a win. It's mental that we're playing Luton at Stamford Bridge and we're asking you whether or not Chelsea can get a win here, but I genuinely do think they will. Times are changing. You've got to live in the present. You can't think that Luton were a conference side when we were winning Champions League trophies. I get that. I understand that. But you know, we're in the here and now and we're dealing with what's in front of us. I do actually think this will be a tough match, but I am backing us. I think we get a 3-1 win. I am going to drop my final thoughts, just before this match. So I'll probably drop it on Thursday, maybe Friday morning. But for the time being, we want to know what you lot think. Let's have score predictions in there. What starting 11 would you go with? And once again, to make sure that we keep getting the pleasure of having Josh on this channel, I want you to hit the link in the description to Josh's channel. Drop him a subscribe so then you can see all his content coming out. We will see you all in the next one.
This Sunday, the kickoff is back live on the Kickoff YouTube channel from 4 o'clock. It's Newcastle versus Liverpool in a heated battle for top 4. Last season, Liverpool did the double over us, including a 99th minute winner at Anfield, where Jurgen Klopp rubbed salt right in the wounds, claiming it was a victory for football and Newcastle are anti-football. Well, revenge is sweet, and we won it this weekend. There's everything to play for. It's all the football, all the time, on the kickoff this Sunday, 4 o'clock live. I'll see you there.